Don't do something.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome in H-Town. You are now tuned in to the Solid Grip, coming to you live at 5, no time for jive. Some wonderful things we got to talk about today. We going to do just that. So now's the time for you to close your mouth and open your ears and listen to what the Solid Grip has to say right after this hit. Again, welcome in. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in or who will tune in. Appreciate you so much. Uh, man, we going to get straight into this thing. You need to understand one thing, though. If you haven't learned anything in life, understand that this show is the flavor for your wings, the barbecue sauce for your ribs, the sugar for your Kool-Aid, not your tank. Don't get it twisted or misconstrued. I'm your host, J.R. Wilson, alongside with me, the other host, my father, Ping Wilson. Today we have a special guest, okay? Mr. Allen, that's what we'll call him, okay? Rather than the name that's associated with what's right up under his face there. But yeah, today we
Because
have a
I'm the cheese on your nachos.
okay, there you go. I thought of something else, but yeah, man,
I'm,
we into this thing. I'm not gonna even play with it. Pop man, how you doing over there? Everything all right? Cope steady.
he doesn't hear you.
Yeah, man. Everything good, Rich.
That's good. That's good. What about you, Mr. Allen? How you doing, sir?
I'm up 7 with a minute 57 in my woo. They better do it, my ladies, because my homeschool where I grew up, they blew it against the Beavers. Ugh. So I'm just kind of freaking out over here a little bit. So might need some laxatives when this is over. So,
Oh, not
but
laxative.
because I'm just tensing up really heavy right now. Ugh.
Well, yeah, man, let's get straight off into this thing. Looks like we lost my old man early. This
He'll
show
be
is gonna
back.
be tumultuous just because, as y'all can see, just give you a quick glimpse. Boom, I'm on duty right now. You know what I mean? So I could dip out at any time. But we're gonna go through these things real swift, like, and we just gonna get straight to the point. So the University of Houston, as y'all can see, what the title of this show is, U of H is in the Final Four, the first time since 1984 with the Phi Slamma Jamma. That's with Akeem Olajuwon. That's with Winslow. That's with Clyde Drexler and others. I think Elgin. You know what? I don't want to name no names. I don't know. I know of the two main ones because they played for the Rockets. So, anyways, the U of H is in the Final Four. They will be facing Baylor tomorrow. Baylor is a extremely talented team, especially offensively. They have a huge mountain to climb. Mr. Allen, I want to ask you, man, do you think that U of H can pull the win off, pull the upset against Baylor? How do you see things going tomorrow?
Oral Roberts won 2 playoff games, so Houston has a chance to beat Baylor. Now, if you were to take it in a science lab and say, okay, and have it be programmed by their talent sets, that's a 15-point win for Baylor. But things happen, maybe even worse, maybe 20. Because let's be real, Houston has no offense. They make a shot here and there. It's not like Kelvin Sampson's been known for being an incredible offensive coach. He hasn't never been. He's been mostly a guy who coaches up effort and defense and rebounding, physical play. So with Baylor, their strength is also, you said offense, but they're really a very long, pretty athletic defensive team. They limit a lot of second chance opportunities. They tend to attack the shots underneath pretty well. They're pretty good on help. So I think with Houston, being a team that's gotten here only because they know how to rebound better than most teams, because most teams are soft and they don't want to hit the boards. They got very fortunate, but I think that now it just depends on, how Baylor can control the misses, because Houston's going to miss. They're just going to miss. And so if they can limit offensive, rebounding to probably, I think it was, what did I read, that they were rebounding almost like maybe 25, 30% of their misses. If they can keep that like around 15, they'll be fine. I think the big problem with this matchup is that if Baylor has more good things on their side, that if a couple go bad, they still have enough good things to rely on. Houston only has a couple really good things to rely on, and if they go bad, they're done. And unfortunately, I just don't see their offense being good enough. But could they win? Sure, because efforting will get you anywhere. And, even though I'm not a fan of Kelvin Sampson at all, I do believe that, he coaches up teams and they have a shot. And right now, speaking of shot, my Lady Wildcats are now only up 5 with 1:23.
They'll be all right. 1:23, they'll hold it down. I know they had an even bigger lead last time. But yeah, man, so let's talk about that a little bit. So U of H, they're not a very good offensive scoring team in my personal opinion. But the one thing that I do think they have is defense, man. I mean, they really do their thing on defense. And I think defense will be the determining factor of this game. But they got to come out there and scrap, Alan.
Well, the funny thing is, and we have to kind of correct ourselves on one thing. Offensively, yeah, they're bad. I mean, they don't really, and in fact, when they played Syracuse, it drove me nuts because for years I've been saying that Syracuse matchup zone, yeah, okay, it's a joke. I mean, they're just winning more games now because more coaches don't know anything about the sport. And I remember when Indiana lost to them in the Sweet 16 about 7-8 years ago, I was flummoxed. Everyone's telling me how Tom Crean's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they didn't run a single. They didn't run one screen the entire time. For those listening, a matchup zone means you match up. In other words, you're basically playing man-to-man principles in a piece of the pie. Okay, so why aren't you screening in that piece? Instead, they're just moving around like a normal 2-3 zone, and you're not getting anything. Well, the other thing you do is if you know how you used to play basketball. Okay, against man-to-man, what do? I pass and I screen away, right? But in a matchup zone, you pass and you screen your own. You don't go there. You stay here. You screen the kid in front of you. Someone rotates up, forces the kid that you just left to make a decision. Do I stay or do I go? If he doesn't, it's a 2-on-1. And if he goes, someone flashes to that empty spot. You just drive teams like that crazy. I did it all the time. But the other thing and that's something Houston doesn't do because Kelvin doesn't know team offense. No matter how much people will argue with me, good luck with that argument. However, he did do something that a lot of teams don't do. He had his guys attack the rim like crazy. And that's what you're supposed to do against the zone anyway. So we talk about the defense and the rebounding, but it all depends on how Baylor matches up. If they do play a zone on them, which I do see it happening, but I don't see why you would.
They will.
They have
to, because what they're going to do is they're going to try to force U of H to shoot behind
shoot over the top. Yeah.
Right. They're not really good at it. So if they watch how the other games went, especially who did they play? Syracuse, when Syracuse came back when they started playing in the zone defense, they definitely going to implement that. Maybe not the whole game, but I think that they're going to try to do that to contain. And U of H can't do the same because they have to contain Williams, right? And
So they'll probably zone. I mean, I'm just a man-to-man guy, and when a team really can't score, you're better off manning if you have good help on the backside. And Baylor's got such a good backside. I would try to suffocate Houston on every level. But to your point, if you can zone them and you can clean the boards and make sure they don't get those second chances, fine. But if they do get zoned, Kelvin did get a great point across to them against Syracuse and said, attack that damn thing. And they did. And then they blew out Syracuse because Syracuse, the thing that a lot of people just don't understand about zoning usually means this. You zone a team means you can't guard them. You really can't. You have to do some gimmick because one-on-one, you're in trouble. And Houston showed that. As soon as they got the ball in space and were isolated on a one-on-one take, what did they do? They destroyed that team. And because Boeheim's never been able to coach a man defense since he was out of the womb. So, the reality is that I just think Baylor is tailor-made, that if they wanted to change it up, I think they have enough to go man on it and force some action and maybe hopefully control the boards. I personally, just because I have friends that went to Houston, I live in the Houston area. I hope they win. But like I told you earlier, I wish they can win without Kelvin Sampson enjoying it because I'll never support a cheater. And he's a cheater.
Well, I mean, more than I could ever know about this situation. You was plugged in at one time. But kind of want to, segue a little bit, man, to another sport altogether and talk about what's going on with Deshaun Watson. Now, my father and I have talked about him to nauseum,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a big story, and it's something that we got to hit on, just like everybody else is hitting on it, getting clicks. And but criminal charges, have been filed against Deshaun Watson now, and now HPD they've opened an investigation on Deshaun Watson. Now, I thought something funny, Alan. I thought it fascinating, rather, that not only did HPD open up a case and now they're investigating it, but Rusty Harden is extremely confident, not only welcoming them, but saying this is something that was overdue and should have been done a while ago. Me personally, I don't buy a lot of this. I think that the guilt for Deshaun Watson at this point, with me, right, with having limited information, is the guilt is, first of all, when you're a public figure, the price of being a public figure is there are people who want to try to win off of you. Okay, so the problem with that is, if you're doing things inappropriately, or if you're doing things haphazardly, if you're doing things and you're not covering your tracks, somebody's going to find an opportunity to slide in there, right? So, do I think Deshaun Watson has a fetish with masseuse? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. It's suspect, extremely suspect to me, for the simple fact that of the timing. If the timing was different, there will be more merit. But because of the timing, because of the last ditch effort that the Texans made, right? And this is a bit of a conspiracy theory, but that's okay. But because of the last ditch effort the Texans made to get Deshaun Watson to change his mind about being the starting quarterback, franchise quarterback for the Texans, all of a sudden, right? All these things start popping up, stuff that was happening a year ago. Okay. And to me, it's extremely suspect for that reason. I don't care that they stay on the same street. Okay. If you stay on River Oaks, you're not walking your dog down the road and then you guys meet up and, hey, how you doing? But at the same time, the timing of it, when head coach David Culley, that was the last effort, was to talk to Deshaun Watson to say, hey, man, look what we're doing here. Look what Nick Caserio is doing. Look what the organization is doing. They're making a heel turn. We're trying to go in a different direction. And then he's like, no, I don't want to be with you guys. Deshaun Watson has made the Texans a public spectacle and has made the Texans a laughing stock, along with the foolish decisions that they've made over the last 18 months, Alan. So that made it an even bigger PR nightmare. And somebody would argue this point and say, well, if that's the case, why would they do something like that if they're trying to kill PR? Because what it does is just what it did. It shifted the attention from the Texans over to Deshaun Watson, right? And so that's why it's suspect. Not that these things don't happen to women. I know of women that it's happened to. I'm not saying that. I'm saying let's look at the facts. There is guilt on Deshaun's part, Alan, but I think that we need to zoom in, like you know what they say about shake the tree, right? When you shake the tree, then break off the branches. When you break off the branches, break off the twigs. When you break off the twigs, then take the leaves and examine them, turn them over. And I think that's what needs to happen in this situation. But I would love to know your take as far as this whole situation.
Well, he's guilty of something. I honestly think this criminal charge is the biggest bogus of all of it. And like I said earlier, Harvey Weinstein clearly did something to somebody's. I mean, he was accused of like raping like 4,000 people or something crazy like that. But we know a lot of them lied. But there's just, it is what it is. But I think the original cases were definitely legit. I think same with Cosby. You don't have that many people, make that accusation without some type of truth. But I find it interesting more so the timing of it came. I don't think it's the Texans. I don't think it's the Texans have anything to do with this. I think he signs a big contract, and now suddenly everyone's coming out of the woodwork saying, "Oh my God, he looked at me funny. Oh my God, he exposed his stuff to me." I think it's the signing of the contract, and also let's be honest. Okay, I'm a city kid, and the way he's handled this whole deal with the Texans, is kind of sketchy. I mean, with his passive aggressive tweeting and his cute little passive aggressive people to me are slimy. There's something about that.
I agree.
We're trying to be sweet and cute, and the minute he started doing that, I thought I lost all respect for him. I just lost every ounce of competitive respect for him. I mean, you got something to say it or shut up and move on. Okay, I don't want to hear you. And the fact that he was doing that obnoxious lyrics and oh, stop it, Deshaun, say your piece or whatever. So when he started doing that, I thought that made him questionable in character. So I think it's a really just a weird bag. I would not be surprised if the Texans see. Here's what I think. I don't think the Texans have anything to do with these cases as much as I think they knew something was adrift. Now, this Jack Easterby guy sounds like he belongs maybe in like some 700 Club TV show and get out of pro football. But I think he might have, because he was really culture, whatever. I wouldn't be shocked if somebody heard something on the grapevine before all this started happening, before it been made public, and they may have talked it down so no one would do anything. Finally, this Busby guy gets a hold of a person or two. Now they can't control it. And because of Watson's behavior or whatever, maybe they're encouraging the people to come forward now. You know, maybe they'll stand down. I don't know. It just doesn't seem quite kosher because when he was a little poorer, this wasn't an issue. Now all of a sudden he's got money. Now he's trying to harass every single masseuse, which, by the way, like you said, it's a little weird. You know, he has an opportunity to have a free masseuse through the team, and he's paying money for what, chicks off Instagram. So the guy's a little weird anyway. Okay. But I just think it's kind of like the theory, like people said, like, you know, well, Pearl Harbor, they proved it. You know, we needed to get into the war. So we knew they were going to try to attack Pearl Harbor, and we're about to go to the Final Four. Our final, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Arizona Wildcats will beat the Lady. Yes! Anyway, woo! Okay, anyway, as I get back. So Pearl Harbor, you know, they said that we knew that they were going to bomb us. And instead of, you know, we thought they'd be ready. That's why people died, because the Army and the Navy weren't working together. But we let it happen, so we had a reason to get in the war. I think the Texans allowed this to become bigger so they can go to war and say goodbye, Deshaun. You know, I think it just gave them more impetus. But I think the conspiracy not so much. I think the guy's kind of just a clown, and some of his actions have earned him. And I think unfortunately, because of it, he's allowed this to happen, because where there's smoke, not a fire necessarily. And he's created a fire with his own stupidity. So,
Pop, you got something on this?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you. We're just waiting for you.
You know, I guess I can buy some of what Alan's saying, and you know, but right now I'm really confused, man, because you know, like I said before, that Deshaun had a fetish, man. I mean, he's not a bad person, okay, but you know, when you hung up on something, man, you know, when something's like kind of got you by the rear end and you can't seem to get out, then he and I believe those 18 women who said that he didn't do anything with them. I mean, I think he liked like good looking women, and it was a challenge for him. You know, I mean, if the lady wasn't a good look, and I'm just throwing this out here because, like I said, I'm really confused, man, because you know, now there's criminal charges and stuff, and you know, at first, I mean, I thought maybe the Texans were involved, and you know, I thought Busby, you know, because let's face it, man, look what's going on with this voter suppression thing. And you know, I know I'm kind of getting off the subject, but Republicans got to have all the can, man, to fight this thing because, you know, look what the MLB did today in Atlanta, man. I mean, look what Coca-Cola and American Airlines is doing. And so, buzz. So I thought maybe that, you know, because Abbott is kind of this thing with a snowstorm. Maybe the Republican Party is trying to maybe put Busby up to maybe run against Abbott. For when it comes down to this thing, because I mean, it takes so many turns. Make on a daily basis. I'm just going to wait and see what plays out in court, guys.
Yeah, I think that's what we all got to wait on right now to see what's going to happen with him. I think the only downside to this is the criminal charges might have really sealed the deal on teams trying to trade for him. And I think that's something that most of the fans won't, even though we don't want him traded per se. But if he doesn't want to be here, right, the prudent thing to do is to trade him, especially to one of these teams that have a top pick, so we can get one of these guys and be excited about getting a quarterback who's going to come in and probably not be productive at all.
But who are you going to trade him for? A couple deflated balls from New England?
No, I mean, my hope is that, the Jets are in play, but now you've had all these pro days that have happened. So when you had these pro days, what happens? You start falling in love with these quarterbacks, right? This allure and mystique from these quarterbacks starts to permeate within the world of sports and individuals that are in administrative and coaching positions. And now they like, ooh, look at this. Ooh, ah. Like, I don't know if you guys saw Zach Wilson's pro day, but I mean, he was just, he was out there throwing Patrick Mahomes. They calling him the Mormon Mahomes. You know what I mean? He was out there throwing little side passes, throwing off with 1 foot. You know what I mean? And I thought,
the difference between him and Mahomes, he'll go to a team that has no weapons and look like garbage, like Mahomes would if he had gone to the Jets himself. Mahomes is a product of his system. He's a great talent, great arm, but that man inherited the most offensive weapons that any starting quarterback in his first 3 years in the league has ever inherited, ever in the modern era.
No, so we agree with that. I mean, if Deshaun Watson would have went to Kansas City, I don't know if there would have been a big difference. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, he doesn't have the live arm, but he could have done different things. Yeah.
He don't have the arm that he has. But the one thing I do say about Zach Wilson is that this kid he throws the football effortlessly. I would liken it to Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying he's Aaron Rodgers. I'm just saying I would liken his passing style.
What did you just say? He's going to be better than Aaron Rodgers? Okay, remember that, James. That's what he said. He's going to be. The Zach Wilson is going to be better than Aaron Rodgers and win 7 Super Bowls. Wow. Okay.
Well, Aaron Rodgers has only been to 1 Super Bowl and he's only won 1 Super Bowl.
Because he's the best leader. He's a great player, but he's not a good leader.
Yeah, nobody will get 7 rings again like the GOAT did. I got to call him the GOAT now because that's.
You mean age? Because he's going to win it again. You know that, right? They're going to win it again.
Unless Kansas City got something to say about it.
Do you know he should have 10 rings, by the way? Because if the defense could have actually stopped Nick Foles for a minute, and if Wes Welker Dropper would have actually caught that 3rd down pass, okay, they're 10-1 in the Super Bowl. And if you really want to get if what's his name would have deflected that pass off Tyree's helmet instead of trying to defend that stupid play, he has 11 rings, or 10 rings.
What about when they played Seattle? Right now, they won that, but they should have lost that game. They was on
but see, I don't agree. I don't agree with that. See, I hate that revision because also, so if they would have given it to Least Mode, because I can't stand that guy either. That guy, the biggest hypocrite in the whole world. I don't want to talk up to the media because I don't like
your words, Alan.
I don't like y'all. I don't like y'all because you don't listen to me, so I ain't going to talk to you. So I'm not going to be controversial. But when I score a touchdown, I'm going to grab my anyway. So he's such a hypocrite. I hate Least Mode. So you're going to sit there and say they definitely would have scored. No, you don't know that. You don't know that. It's like when somebody says, well, if he had made that layup with 8 seconds to go, they would have won. You don't know if he would have made it. You don't know if he would have missed it. Those aren't the same situations.
We don't know.
They could have stacked the line and shut him down.
They could have, but it's no different from somebody deflecting the pass that David Tyree caught in the Super Bowl that the Patriots lost to the Giants in.
But you're comparing a moment in space. because that ball was defensible by Rodney Harrison. All he had to do was tap it off the helmet or just knock it down. That's all he had to do. It's a moment in space. When you're talking about a running play that involves machinations of 5 linemen and the entire 11-man defense and a running back and a handoff, you're talking about more pieces that have to come into place. That's not in space. That's moments in each moment individually. When Welker dropped the pass, that was a moment in space. Okay? So you can't compare a potential running play against a moment that actually happened. They would have Welker catches that ball, it's over. That's number 8. And if Harrison knocks it down, it's 9. And probably if Nick Foles wasn't on steroids for 48 hours, they don't win that either. So, by the way, I love Nick Foles. He's a U of A Wildcat, and he's a wonderful man. I've met him. He's a great kid. So I'm just joking, Nick. But the fact is that those are the difference. So when I always say you can't compare a moment in space to a thing that involves more moving parts.
Yes, I can.
So,
yes, I can.
No, you can't.
No, I absolutely can.
You're requiring all 10 players on one side to be perfect and all 11 players on the other side to be not as good. Whereas you're comparing 20.
All Rodney Harrison had to do was knock the ball down. He should.
That's one player. But that's one player. That's a moment in space.
If all Wes Welker had to do was catch the ball, he should have caught the ball.
You're saying that you can guarantee all 10 players outside of Russell Wilson handing the ball off, and we can even count him.
No, I'm saying if ifs and buts was Hennessy, we'd all be drunk right now. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. It's a lot harder to compare 22 players and what they would do in that moment than one player. They should have.
I wouldn't even argue that point. You know what I mean? I wouldn't argue with that. I just think that things could have gone certain ways in certain situations. Russell Wilson could have ran the ball right to the opposite field. He could have went oppo, right, and just ran right in because everybody slanted to one side.
Anthony Davis could have gone to the Clippers, and Labubu would still be waiting for another ring. So I mean, there's so many different things that can go.
You had to toss him in there, huh?
I did. He is really, they were talking about Deshaun. And they were comparing him to LeBron, and I had to agree with it. LeBron is a very interesting character in comparison to Deshaun because they, a lot of people say LeBron is not a likable person or, as a player, but he's so far been impeccable off the field. It's like, it's not even close. Like that guy is like an amazing person when he's not, if he walked around without a basketball, I'd love LeBron James 24 hours a day. But unfortunately he has a ball in his hand, so I don't like him about half the day. But because I just don't. But he's such a great guy, and he's not stupid like Deshaun to put himself in those kind of positions. So that's why you got to give him a lot of credit. I don't think he's as intelligent as his little army says he is.
But he's LeBron credit right now. But
the thing is too, LeBron James is a way more street smart cat than Deshaun Watson, and you can tell that pretty easily from how. Where LeBron lacks in book smart, he has street smart. Sometimes he talks a little too much about things he shouldn't, but when it comes to common sense and stuff like that, he's A1, right? So he's such a weird contradiction because I wish he would act more professionally like he does in his real world, because then he'd be a god, in my opinion, but he screws it up. But I think that's because he's human and he's flawed, and that's why he has to beg players to come help him win rings. That's a whole different thing.
I want to shout out real quick and pop because we'll go all day on this. I want to shout out Alvin Brooks, Coach Alvin Brooks, man, being named the head coach of Lamar University. If I'm not mistaken, he hasn't gotten a head coaching position since he was at U of H from 1993 to 1998. If y'all don't know, Mr. Ping Wilson was an assistant head coach under Alvin Brooks when he was the head coach at U of H from 1993 to 1998. That's Mr. Ping Wilson you guys are looking at right here. Okay.
Yeah, he's the GOAT right now. The three of us, he's the GOAT. Ping the GOAT.
For sure. We're just specks of sand on his everlasting beach right now. You know what I mean? So
I'm glad he got the job. I'm really glad Alvin got it because everything I hear is he's a nice guy. So, and he knows basketball.
Pop, you got something you want to say on Alvin? I know
when he took the Houston job, and he's 61.
We're losing him.
One now, 10 with him. I said, "Oh wait, I'm almost 68 years old. I'm done as far as any."
I don't hear him.
Coach coaching. That's it, man. That for him. I'm sure Lil Al will go with him, and probably some other young guys and stuff. And I think he'll get a turn to do, man. When he was 32, there's no doubt X and the nose, he knew what he was doing. But, like I said, man, it was trying to replace Pat Foster, who was replacing Guy Lillard's. And, I tip my hat to Kelvin Sampson. I mean, he went in there and told, of course, Alvin won't have to worry about that. At Lamar, they got great facilities down there. The Montaigne Center's quite old. And, Beaumont just wanted to grow in a trial there, Port Arthur Memorial. Beaumont United just went 5 to Division I players on that team. So if he could get just 2 of those kids, he'll be in great.
Yeah, Pop.
But again, congratulations to him. Hopefully he'll bring back a championship. If not, the people in Beaumont getting ready to get some exciting basketball.
Yeah, man. Again, shout out to Alvin Brooks, man. Congratulations for being named the head coach at Lamar University. 30 years. It's been a long time coming. Yeah, man. Pop, man, I really would like to reserve the mock draft, man, if we can tomorrow, man. If y'all can be with us tomorrow, we could do our mock draft, the Solid Grip mock draft, and do that tomorrow, because we experience some technical difficulties right now. But I want to say this right now: the Astros, if y'all don't know, the Astros are up 5-2 right now in the top of the 7th. So it's looking good right now. But Mr. Allen, man, thank you for coming on, man.
And I still would like to suggest one time we have a very serious talk about that college athlete thing. They do not deserve to be paid, not one single one of them. And I can back it up for 500 years. They don't deserve a penny, not one.
Well, look, you off probation now, Allen. So, we'll get you.
You admit it. I was in podcast jail and I just got out. Oh wow. You got me in jail because of my wings. Are you kidding me? Killing me.
So, but yeah, Allen, man, for me, J.R. Wilson, for Mr. Allen, for my Pop Peen Wilson, this is The Solid Grip. We appreciate y'all again, man, for watching. Subscribe to this channel, like, comment, share this with your people, with your partners, with your family. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. Mock draft 1 through 10, The Solid Grip. Grace and peace to all y'all, man. Take care.